So, welcome back, all of your students. In the yesterday's class, we have stopped till the concept of internationalization. So, how the companies differ from products producing domestically to going global. We have discussed it in a detail. So today, today's class is extension of that, and we are going to see the international marketing orientation. So let us see what is international marketing orientation is about. Okay. So we have stopped here in the last class. Today we are going to discuss this orientation in international marketing. First, let us understand the meaning of the word orientation. So orientation is it is an act of directing attention towards a particular thing. Okay, we are orienting something towards something. Okay, that is what we are talking about here. So orientation in international marketing means what we have to direct our capacity towards which particular thing. Okay, what is the nature of our business, and how we are directing our nature of business when we want to go to the international market. So international marketing is no longer confined to only traditional way of doing it, like exporting, right? We have enough production, so if you are doing the export, means it is not confined to that thing. It has expanded its international marketing has expanded its meaning beyond the exporting and importing. So the many firms are engaging in establishing the overseas subsidiaries, strategic alliances, and overseas production facilities. They're coming with the they're doing joint ventures with other other companies. They are becoming conglomerate companies. So these are the different ways where companies or firms are going internationalization. So it is not confined to the exporting or movement of product or services from one border to another border. So it has extended its nature. Internationalization has extended its nature. So now to the firms, the major challenge is what business I do and what kind of orientation I have to, how I have to go to the overseas market. What is the best way for my kind of business? They have to analyze that their opportunity, and they have to find out the their opportunity and challenge, and they have to find out the opportunity to go internationalization. So for this, Wing, Douglas, and Permter, they have given one model which is called as EPRG framework. So by analyzing this EPRG framework, by understanding this framework, we'll come to know that by how we can orient our firm's business in an international marketing. Let us see how we can do it. So this is the framework which is given, which is called as EPRG orientation. This is EPRG. What is the full form of EPRG? I have given in the figures here. E means ethnocentric, P means polycentric, R means regiocentric, G means geocentric. So this is the EPRG framework. These all words are derived from mostly from Latin word. So here, if you see the first thing, let us understand the meaning of the words. If you see the first thing, ethnocentric. So this might sound a new word, but if you break down this word, you can see that ethnic is a word which you have already heard. So what do you mean by ethnic? In your college, in your offices, in your society where you are staying, you do ethnic day celebration. What you do, that to which culture you represent, you wear such kind of dress and you come to the college to represent your ethnicity. So ethnocentric means the same thing. It is the based on the ethnicity of a country where the company is situated. So ethnocentrism or ethnocentric, what it says is evaluating the other culture in the pre-consumption that what kind of culture we have, they also have the same kind of culture. Like if an Indian company is there, if it wants to, do international business, it want to go internationalization of the business, it considers that what Indian culture is there, the others may also be following the same culture. Okay. Next word comes here as polycentric. Polycentric is also seems to be new to you, but it is not new. Poly means more than many, more than one. So it is polycentric. So you might have heard as polyester in the fabric, polyester fabric. You might have heard about it. It is mixture of some petrochemical and some fiber and all those things. That is what is mixture of many things. That is it is called as a polyester. So polycentric means it is a mixture of many things. Okay. And then regiocentric. So regiocentric means regio, which includes the region. Okay. So region wise, we are by area wise we are dividing, like South Asia, East Asia, okay, North American countries, South American countries, like that. What we say. So we are by region wise, by area wise, dividing is regiocentric. Geocentric. Geo means having Earth as a center. So entire Earth we consider as a center in the geocentric. This is the meaning of these words, so that when I'm talking about these things, you should you should not feel any rocket science to you. So these are the new words. You should not feel like that. So this is the meaning of words. So let us discuss what is the orientation framework of this particular particular things in the coming slides. So first we will go to the ethnocentric orientation. See, I have given here an organization structure. Here a managing director is there. So his company's managers are there under him. Research and development department manager, finance department manager, production department manager, human resource manager, marketing manager. So if you see in the marketing department, another three sub hierarchy you can see, one sub hierarchy where three people are there. So there are assistant manager. So assistant manager of North India, assistant manager of South India, assistant manager of export. So if you remember my last class, last slide, so this is similar to this one, okay, where this one and this one, this is similar to this two, okay. How it is similar to this two? See, I have given you a division of international sales for us domestic headquarters. Okay, let us go to the again to this slide. See, so it is this is a your home country. In home country headquarters only, you have a one department which is dedicated for your international business. Okay, see till here you're doing domestically business, you are doing domestically, but when it comes to this division where you have a manager who is taking care of export in your organization. So ethnocentric means which carry out all the businesses within the domestic country, but it has one thing where it start exporting while going the international. So let us see in detail that what is ethnocentric and which kind of companies can follow the ethnocentric. Most of this ethnocentric orientation is appropriate to such firms where they don't have a much amount to invest and they have a good sales inside the domestic boundary only. So they just want to capture the international marketing, and they're just captured by giving to the international market an extra what they are producing. Okay, their sales are really good, doing good in the home country, and the revenue is coming well from the home country, but they have enough production, so that's why what they do, to utilize that capacity, they are exporting. They use the traditional method of internationalization, that is exporting the additional thing, uh, and why they do us like, we are getting good income, good sales, good revenue from our domestic market. If we, the loss is occurred in the international market also, if my product is not going to be by the international customers, that won't affect me because I have a good sales in my domestic market. So it is an experiment I am doing by sending my goods by exporting my goods, which I have extra in my capacity. So if you compare the volume of the overseas sales to the domestic sales, so it won't make any such a comparison. Okay, when your international sale is very less but your domestic sales is very less, your revenue from domestic sales is more, and international revenue from international sales, it is not, it is not a matter of worry to your organization. In such companies, they can do it, and they don't want to invest much in their marketing mix strategy and all. They don't want to do any marketing research and all in the international marketing, and it is less riskier to the companies because they are not making any huge investment there, so there won't be any losses. If sales does not happen in the international marketing, they are exporting the products but the sales is not good, the revenues are not coming, means that is not worry to them because they are earning good amount of revenue from the domestic market. So because they are not making any investment, additional investment internationally, so they are it is a less riskier for them to think about the return. Okay, what is the disadvantage? That there might be a good, if you do good marketing the research, if you apply the marketing strategy, good promotional strategy, good segmenting and all, your product may get a good opportunity overseas, but you don't want to take risk and you don't have any money to invest there, your organization or your firm. So that's why they are losing an opportunity to go international, to tap the international market properly. Okay, suitable to small firms where they just want to make themselves we are also doing international business. Such type of firms, it is suitable, but this type of ethnocentric orientation we cannot do for a larger firms where they want to expand, they really want to expand to the international marketing. And one more thing, ethnocentric means what I was saying. Ethnocentric means they see that your culture, okay, that tea consumption, say for example, in India is a daily routine. So we what we do, we every morning we drink tea, evening we drink tea, after meal also we drink tea. And tea is having a natural kind of some Ayurvedic benefits also. So what you may do that you're not tapping the international marketing. You are a tea producer. You're growing the tea and also you're exporting that to the international market. But you're just exporting it. You are not doing any segmentation or any promotion activity in international this thing. These days, in the global competition, in the changing the climatic conditions of the globe, you can see that the Ayurvedic products and natural products are getting more customers internationally. So if you do proper segmenting and promotion of your tea, your brand of tea, so it might go become a big brand over the international also. Uh, but and I want to give you here one example how the ethnocentric can become a failure. So I have given here a Nissan car example. So Nissan is headquartered in Japan. It is a Japanese company. So what they did is they manufactured a car, and they started exporting the car to the United States. United States is a cold country, it is climatic condition is colder than Asian countries. So they have designed a car which is suitable to the Japanese climatic conditions. So in winters, what the car started giving the problem. Okay, it was not starting. What they have done, what they thought in Japan, they used to sometimes it used to happen in Japan. It is like India, winter is there for only few days. During that day, they have adjusted with putting some carpet on that and starting the engine. They thought that even in American countries it will hold good, but it is not the thing that happened, and the product started giving problem to the American customers. So this is how you can fail if you're going using ethnocentric approach, that if my country is like this, my product, I have produced this product according to my country, I'll sell the product in internationally. You have to adjust with it. No, the sales will fall, the customer will not buy your product. Okay, so overcome this, we have to uh, uh, go beyond. We have to think beyond, and we have the next approach, which is called as polycentric approach. So poly means what? Poly means uh, many, right? I was telling you poly means many. So here polycentric, when I'm talking about polycentric, when I was talking about ethnocentric, it is the mixture of these two. When I'm talking about the polycentric, this is the mixture of these two: international marketing and multinational marketing. Okay, so in international marketing, what we have seen, we establishes the subsidiaries, separate subsidiaries in each country, and key personnel will be the domestic people. And here we were using domestic marketing mix in the internationalization, but in polycentric, this point is excluded. Okay, these two make sense there, and marketing mix will come from here. Okay, so marketing mix we follow in the polycentric, that for each country we do the separate marketing mix in the polycentric. Okay, so polycentric means we'll having a subsidiaries in each nations where we are doing business, and we have the separate marketing mix to a particular country where we are working, and we'll be having a headquartered in our home country. And see here, we have a subsidiary. Okay, managing director in our home country. We have a subsidiary in the foreign country where we are working, and he will be reporting to the home country MD. Okay, so this is how the polycentric orientation works. So what type of next companies, firms should think about the polycentric orientation? Firms which are seriously committed to international marketing and having the capacity to invest. In the last approach, in the last orientation, what we are seeing, that they had the extra capacity, they wanted to export that capacity. The sales would not make any difference to them, and any losses to them. That's why they were not worried about much serious about internationalization. But the polycentric orientation should be followed from the firms where they are seriously thinking about growing internationally, and who have the capacity to invest internationally, who have the fund to take out the marketing strategy, marketing mix activity internationally. They can go for the polycentric orientation. So by conducting the marketing research using marketing strategy, what we can see here, we can understand our needs and want of our customer better. Okay, because we are doing the marketing research, we are not just sending our product to the international markets. We are carrying out the marketing research also, and we are carrying out the marketing mix strategy also. So we understand our customer better. Okay, then disadvantages is like there may be a coordination and controlling problem. Okay, so if you are having a different subsidiaries in a different countries, so you might face the coordination problem, and from home country to host country, the subsidiary should report to always to the home country. People should coordinate with them with the marketing strategy, what kind of strategy they are using and all. And they might lose the control of the subsidiary in some countries. So this is the one disadvantages. And the country A is planning same thing, country B is also planning the same thing, so it will become what it will become duplication of things. So you should have some kind of centralization of planning. So that is the disadvantages. So duplication and overlapping of the activities. Next one is overcoming the disadvantage. So what I was saying, that we can centralize the coordination from the home country, and we can ask them to follow the direction which is given by the so how to overcome the disadvantage? We can centralizing the our directing and controlling system and coordinating system. We can overcome with this disadvantages. Let us take an example of polycentric approach. Yes, we have already discussed about this example yesterday. So they have the particular different marketing mix to each country. Like in India, they have given example, instead of non-veg burgers, like serving non-veg means only pork and beef we are talking about, not chicken and meat. So pork and beef meat is prohibited. This is the one of the example of polycentric approach, that different marketing mix. They have started the different product line for the to serve the each country. McDonald's is an example for the polycentric approach. Next one, we will go to the next slide, that is regiocentric orientation. I've told you the meaning, that regiocentric means first you divide the area wise. Like you might heard that he is a South Asian head of Axis. Okay, chairman South Asian region. Okay, so in Asia also we are region wise, like south, north, we are dividing. So regiocentric means like region wise we are categorizing geographical region wise, we are categorizing the markets. So like South Asian market, you can say continents like Asia, Africa, America. These are the big continents. We can say that we can region wise we can divide them to because it makes the coordination and controlling easy. Let us see the graph, organization structure. So this is home country, managing director. So here in the foreign subsidiary, I have given South Africa here. So Namibia and Kenya, which are neighboring country. Namibia is exactly a shares border with South Africa. Kenya is also a part of African country. So for this African continent, I'll be making South Africa as a subsidiary, which will be this Namibian subsidiary and Kenyan subsidiaries will be reporting to the South African subsidiaries. The South African person will report to this person. Okay, so this is how the regiocentric, how we are dividing region wise. In African only we have, I've given just 2, you may have 4, 5, 6, how many countries are there, depending upon that, we will be having different subsidiaries. So these different subsidiaries will report to will be controlled and managed by one subsidiary, which will be headquartered for that particular region. Okay, which is not a headquarter for everything, which is a headquarter for that particular region. Then that headquarter will be reported to the parent company's headquarters. So this is how the regiocentric happens. That this makes this regiocentric approach makes us to overcome the disadvantages of polycentric, where we are facing the coordination and controlling difficulties, because this person will be coordinated they will be coordinating this countries, so indeed he'll be coordinating with this, so it will be, you know, a good hierarchical strategy will be using here, so there will be a no miscommunication or a miscoordination happens. So this involves the high investment, because every region wise we should have a establish a, you know, headquarter, wherein other countries subsidiaries will report to that headquarters. So we have to make regional wise strategies first, then we have to make the division of the regional wise strategies to again country wise strategies. So this is how this works. So that is a high investment strategy orientation. Then this shows some sensitivity towards the local conditions in the host country. Means if you're an Indian company, you'll be a home country. If South Africa is a host country, Kenya is a host country, Namibia is a host country, all of them are the host country. So for the local conditions, it may be difficult for us to, you know, capture the needs and wants, the cultural level, the societal background, education level, taste, preference. For to capture all these things, it will be a little bit difficult. Okay. Uh, Regiocentric can be a bridge between the you know, the companies which are just exporting or which have only established their subsidiaries, and country wise which are, you know, carrying out the business separately like polycentric, and which you know, the countries which want to become a global country. So regiocentric can you know, act as a bridge between these two. Okay, that is what this point is saying about. It is a transactional step where the multinational organization wish to develop as uh, you know, geographically a global uh, company. So from international market to multinational multinational company to a global company. So for this regiocentric orientation would be helpful. It acts as a bridge. For a certain period of time, this regiocentric can be experimented by the global company before going global. Okay. Uh, Next, we'll see the example of why I was saying this particular point that shows some level of sensitivity towards local conditions. This is a product which is a Nestle product. Uh, okay, in the packet of the Nestle product, this baby photo was there, and it was sold to. It is a baby food product, and the baby food product means they have, you know, given the baby photo on the product. And ironically, what happens means in many African countries, the literacy level is less. So what they thought is, what is on the packet, the photo, what is on the packet, we are consuming that. So they thought that they are consuming the baby. They didn't think that it is a baby food. It is common, right? For illiterate person, a cigarette packet means the cigarette will be on the photo, will be on the cigarette packet. Chips packet means chips photo will be on the chips packet. So after seeing the baby photo on the baby food product, they refuse to buy this. Okay. So this is what happens. This is how the sensitivity, you know, change. Then later state they tend to change the you know, packaging of this. This is a fault of packaging process. Next, we will see the geocentric orientation. So geocentric means an entire globe, a world, a Earth, a planet Earth is seen as one single market, and all other markets. We don't have any kind of other markets concept in our mind. So one product is served to all other countries in the earth. Uh, how we serve this? By standardizing the products. Um, this is a mixture of, we can say, uh, what geocentric and the polycentric and the regiocentric. Okay, it is a synthesis, means it is a mixture of, or whatever the last previous slides we were saying, it is a mixture of it. Which runs on the concept that all human beings are same. So human nature is same. If you go to Africa, human being are same. If you go to America, they are same. If you go to India, they are same. So on this basis, this is the funda what they work on the global marketing concept, and they have the standardized marketing mix. So they will be one marketing mix they'll be following. What they do in a heterogenic market, heterogenic characteristics of people across the globe, they will segment the people according to the who share the same value, okay, same knowledge, same taste. They'll try to segment such type of people. For them, they will, standardize the product across the globe, and the one product will be sold without any modification to the entire world. So this is the geocentric approach. By doing this, in production, we can achieve the economies of scale, so that large amount of production can be made, large units of quantities can be produced, because it will be circulated in the entire world. One product will be circulated in the entire world. So we can, by making use of economies of scale with the cost, it will be cost effective also. So the best example for this product is this product, everybody's favorite, right? If you taste Coke in US, it tastes same. If you taste Coke I'm not talking about zero diet Coke, diet Coke, such type of Coke. I'm talking about a standard Coke, which is same in the every country. Okay, whether you buy in Bangalore or in Boston or in Berlin, Coca-Cola is a standardized product, which will be across the globe. They have the same formula. They produce in the mass, and they circulate the formula to the every country production base. So the similar taste of Coca-Cola is produced, sold in the all markets. Okay, so this is about today's class. About uh, the EPRG orientation, what we call in marketing. So the firms can, decide now about what is my capacity, what I exactly want, whether I just want to export my product because I have extra capacity, or I am seriously thinking about going global, or I just want to, have the market in each national. I just want to coordinate from my headquarters. So according to your capacity, according to your needs, according to your expansion planning, you can, think about the this approach, which approach is applicable to whom.